Coach, active testing is the ultimate weapon for high-efficiency learning. Alright, we received those awesome materials you sent over about how the brain learns. And we saw your request. I have to read it out loud because I think it speaks for everyone. You said please break down every method step by step, so it is crystal clear to the public, easy to master through practice, and works the moment you use it. Partner, wow, that request is just perfect. Coach, no problem at all. Today, we are your exclusive learning coaches. We're going to break these dry goods down, piece by piece. And to make it work the moment you use it, we have to start with a concept that might flip your common sense upside down. Partner, what is it? Coach, well, you probably always felt like you're a visual learner. You need pictures, or an auditory learner. You need to listen to lectures. But these materials tell us that that's actually not the point. Partner, really? That's a bit of a shock. Coach, exactly. The materials say the key to high-efficiency learning isn't about how you shove information into your head, but rather how you stop it from leaking out. Partner, I see. So our enemy isn't that we can't learn, but that we forget too fast. Coach, precisely. So today, our mission is to give the memories in your brain the most powerful vaccine to resist this forgetting. Partner, well said. To give this vaccine, we first need to understand the virus, how forgetting works, and our immune system, the brain's learning mechanism. So, let us start from the bottom. When we say we learn something, what actually happens in the brain? Coach, that brings us to the first core concept in the materials, neuroplasticity. This term sounds very high-tech, like something out of a sci-fi movie. What does it actually mean? Does it mean my brain is like Play-Doh that can be molded however I want? Partner, pretty much. But it is about 10,000 times more precise than Play-Doh. Simply put, neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to constantly reshape its internal network based on your daily experiences, thoughts, and practice. Every word you learn, every move you practice, leaves a real, physical trace in your brain. Coach, and the materials summarize this complex process into 3 core mechanisms. Partner, alright. The step-by-step breakdown officially starts now. What is the first one? Coach, the first is strengthening the connections between neurons. Imagine billions of nerve cells in your brain communicating through structures called synapses. Every time you repeat a thought or action, specific neurons fire together. It is like walking through a jungle. The more you take the same path, the more solid it becomes. It gets wider and flatter. In the brain, signal transmission on that path becomes faster and more efficient. That as the biological principle of practice makes perfect. Partner, that is easy to understand. It is like turning a common path into a highway. What about the second mechanism? I saw it in the data and it felt a bit counterintuitive. Coach, yes, very counterintuitive. The second mechanism is weakening or even removing neural connections. Partner, wait, hold on. Weakening connections. My first reaction is that this must be a bad thing. Isn't it that like dementia or memory loss? Learning should be about adding things. How can it be achieved by reducing connections? This feels totally backwards. Coach, you hit the nail on the head. This is a huge misconception for most people. Weakening connections is actually the key to optimization and fine-tuning. I think the metaphor in the materials about a baby learning to grab things is perfect. Partner, oh, I remember that. A 9-month-old baby trying to grab a toy is always so clumsy. Their whole body seems to be straining. Right. Coach, exactly. It feels like their arms, hands, and fingers aren't on the same team. But look at a 6 or 7-year-old child. They grab a cup of water with total precision and zero effort. This leap from clumsy to precise isn't because they added more connections, but because the brain helped them prune countless redundant, incorrect, and distracting connections. Partner, prune them. Coach, yes, it is like a sculptor facing a block of raw jade. Their job isn't to add material, but to constantly chip away the excess. Only then does the exquisite statue emerge. Partner, that sculptor metaphor makes it click instantly. So we forget the ineffective moves so that the effective ones become clearer and more automated. It is like there is an invisible sculptor living in our heads, helping us keep the best and discard the rest. Coach, beautifully summarized. So, strengthening and weakening are like the gas pedal and the brake. Both are essential tools in the dynamic process of learning. And that leads to the third mechanism, neurogenesis. Partner, I've heard a lot about this. All those brain-boosting products and memory courses talk about promoting neurogenesis to grow more brain cells. It sounds like if I use their methods, my brain will stay young forever. But the materials seem to throw a bucket of cold water on this. Coach, yes, a very cold bucket. The materials clearly state that the neurogenesis hyped in the media plays a minimal role in most adult learning activities like learning a new language or a professional skill. Partner, really? That's small. Coach, it mainly happens in very specific brain regions like the hippocampus. So, stop counting on growing new brain cells to make you smarter. The real battleground for learning and memory is still about how we manage and optimize the connections between the billions of neurons that already exist. Partner, that's clear now. So if those brain training apps don't really work by growing new cells, where should we actually spend our energy? If the essence of learning is being a smart sculptor, how do we actively direct that sculpting process? Coach, this brings us to the most core and practical part of our discussion. The answer given in the materials might make anyone who has been through the education system smile, because it is the very thing we feared and hated most in school. Partner, what is it? Coach, testing, exams. Partner, hearing those words, my DNA is literally vibrating with anxiety. Coach, but the test we are talking about here isn't the high-stakes exam that decides your fate. It is a learning method called self-testing or active retrieval. To let you experience its power right now, let us do a tiny meta-learning experiment on the spot. Partner, sure. How do we do it? Coach, simple, right now. Without looking back, try to answer based on your immediate memory. What are the three core mechanisms of neuroplasticity we just discussed? Don't be nervous, it doesn't matter if you can't remember. The act of trying to remember is more important than the answer itself. Let's pause for a few seconds. Pause. Coach, time is up. Did you remember? The answers are strengthening connections, weakening connections, and neurogenesis. But here is the clever part. Regardless of whether you got it right or wrong, that effortful process of thinking was an extremely efficient learning session. That simple act just reinforced the construction of the memory paths for those three concepts in your brain. Partner, that is amazing. So the purpose of this mini test wasn't to grade me, but to strengthen my own memory. Coach, that is the core argument of the materials. You could even say it as the ultimate weapon against forgetting. Self-testing is the best method to resist forgetting, bar none. Partner, bar none. Coach, research shows that spending 10 分钟 use on a self-test, even if you can't answer many questions, produces a long-term memory effect that far exceeds reading the same material 3 times carefully. Partner, this completely flips my understanding of learning. I always thought learning was about repeatedly looking and listening to pour knowledge in, like filling a bottle with water. Coach, but now it sounds like learning is more like drawing water from a well. Partner, exactly. Every time you draw it meaning, every time you actively recall it, the well your memory becomes deeper and more solid. Coach, precisely. So what does all this mean? It means the next time you read a book, watch a tutorial, or learn anything new, the most efficient strategy is to stop periodically. Partner, stop and do what? Coach, for example, after finishing a chapter, close the book and ask yourself, what was the author's core argument? What examples did they use to support it? Or after watching a 10-minute video, pause it and try to replay the key steps in your mind. This simple act is the most powerful memory vaccine. Partner, okay, the method sounds simple and costs $0. But I have a question, and this is why I used to fear exams. What if I test myself and realize I remember nothing? Or I get it wrong? Isn't that discouraging? Won't I feel stupid and just give up? Coach, that is actually the most precious and magical moment of self-testing. The materials emphasize the huge value of making mistakes. Partner, the value of mistakes. Coach, when you struggle to recall and fail, or realize you remembered it wrong, and then you go look at the correct answer at that exact moment, your brain receives an intense alarm signal. It is basically saying, red alert. This info is crucial, but my record is blank or wrong. Activate top priority encoding and storage. Carve this into the brain now. This process of error correction is like a GPS recalculating a route after a wrong turn. The new route is etched much more deeply into your mind. Partner, I get it. So a mistake isn't the end of learning. It is actually the true starting point of memory reinforcement. Coach, exactly. So we should embrace mistakes. We should even be grateful for those moments when we can't remember, because that is exactly when the brain is in its golden hour for deep encoding. Partner, thinking about it that way changes everything. Every mental block in a self-test becomes an opportunity for an upgrade. Coach, perfectly put. Every successful retrieval strengthens existing neural connections. And every failed retrieval, once you see the answer, allows the brain to encode the info in a deeper, more solid way. So don't fear mistakes. Actively seek out the blind spots where you thought you knew it but actually didn't. That is your highest efficiency learning zone. Partner, alright. The information load today was heavy, but the logic is very clear. Let us recap the core takeaways. First, the most important thing is a shift in mindset. Our learning goal must change from how to absorb better to how to effectively resist forgetting. Coach, yes, we're not trying to shove more things into the basket of our brain. We're learning to patch the holes in the basket first. Resisting forgetting is the first priority of learning. Partner, and the second point is our most powerful weapon. It is not highlighting. It is not making pretty notes. And it is not re-watching recordings. It is that simple, even slightly painful method, active and frequent self-testing. Coach, bingo. If we look at this in a larger context, it completely changes your relationship with knowledge. Through constant self-testing, you are no longer a passive consumer of information. You become an active builder of knowledge. You are actively interacting with, selecting, and organizing information, weaving it firmly into your own knowledge network. That is what it means to truly learn. Partner, this is so inspiring. And the principle applies to everything: preparing for an exam, learning an instrument, a new sport, or just remembering a book. Coach, by the way, the materials ended with a teaser, saying they provide a zero-cost, super fast tool to assess knowledge and boost the learning. That really piqued my interest. Partner, definitely. That tool's philosophy is cut from the same cloth as what we discussed today. This leads to a very important question we want to leave for you to think about and practice. Coach, since we now know that the simple act of trying to recall is far more effective than repeated reading, how do you plan to change your learning schedule immediately? Maybe this afternoon or tomorrow morning. What specific micro-test can you insert into your workflow? Partner, that is a great question. Maybe after reading this report, spend 3 分钟 use writing down the main points from memory. Or after a meeting, take 1分钟 use to mentally recap the key conclusions. These tiny changes sound like they would make a huge difference. Coach, exactly. Start from the smallest, easiest step. Experience the power of active retrieval for yourself. You'll find that your learning really can be instantly understood, mastered through practice, and successful upon use.